Not every mythical race starts pure. Some were created righteous, some were dangerously unpredictable, and some were corrupted by design. Today, we're ranking 10 mythical races from heavenly perfection to absolute corruption. Are you familiar with these beings? In the world's great monotheistic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, angels are seen as beings crafted directly by God. Unlike humans, they are not shaped from earth or granted choice in the way we understand it. Instead, they're often described as manifestations of light, purpose, and perfect obedience. Their purity doesn't come from overcoming inner flaws. It flows naturally from their design. They exist to serve, to carry out divine will without question. Take Islam's view, for example. There, angels are formed from light and cannot disobey. They have no ego, no personal desire, only unwavering devotion. This makes them, in a sense, utterly pure. They don't wrestle with right and wrong. They simply are what they were made to be. Across these traditions, angels take on many roles: messengers, protectors, record keepers, agents of divine plans. Christianity and certain Jewish texts speak of angels who rebelled, giving rise to the idea of fallen angels. But Islam draws a clear line here. In that tradition, angels do not and cannot fall. Figures like Iblis, often equated with Satan, are not angels at all, but jinn, beings made from smokeless fire, gifted with free will and capable of defiance. For angels, purity means flawless alignment with God's command, a perfection untouched by struggle, untested by temptation. They represent a kind of innocence that has never known conflict. And that very quality sets them apart from the beings that come next on this list, because now we turn from messengers of light to beings of light who know pride, beauty, and rivalry. Now, from beings of pure obedience, we shift to beings of pure radiance. In ancient Norse lore, the Light Elves, or Ljósálfar, are shimmering, graceful beings said to be brighter than the sun. Their home is Alfheimr, a gleaming realm of such beauty that Odin himself gave it to the god Freyr. Forget the idea of angels and perfect virtue. The purity of the Light Elves is different. It's the untamed brilliance of nature itself, its life force, spark, and raw vitality. To the Norse, that shimmer wasn't about being sinless. It was the glow of a thriving field, the flash of sudden inspiration, the lucky turn of fate. Most of what we have comes from Snorri Sturluson's Prose Edda, where he carefully separates these bright ones from the shadowy Duality. The Light Elves weren't gods, nor were they mortals. They belonged to that other kind, spirits of place maybe, or echoes of honored ancestors, part of that broad family known as Alfar. People believed they could make the land fertile, mend sickness, or invite wealth. Cross them, though, and that same power would dry up. Their light wasn't a promise. It could be given, but just as easily taken away. So, in the old tales, their role is subtle but strong. They moved through the world as a hidden influence, guarding the health of the land, touching minds with beauty, quietly steering luck. Yet they were never fully safe or simple, not wicked, but not endlessly gentle either. This hint of shadow within the radiance is what leads us onward. Because if beings of light could hold such complexity, then those who dwell in the dark below take us even further. In Norse tales, the Dvargar, or dwarves, aren't born of light or song. They come from something far more raw, from the writhing maggots in the flesh of the dead giant Ymir. The gods later breathed thought into them, and from that grim beginning rose the unmatched smiths of the underground. Their purity lies not in holiness, but in intent and mastery. While spirits and elves belong to sky and forest, dwarves belong to stone and forge. You'll find them in the old verses of the poetic Edda, beneath the world in places like Svartalfheim. There, in the dark, they hammered out the gods' greatest treasures: Odin's spear Gungnir, Thor's hammer Mjolnir, Freyr's golden boar. They represent craft, cunning, and the turning of raw earth into objects of power, beings of industry rather than radiance. Yet, for all their skill, the old stories also warn of their nature: stubborn, secretive, often gripped by a hunger for gold or a jealousy over their creations. This isn't evil in a simple sense. It's a flaw born from obsession, from loving what their hands make almost too much. Here, then, we take a step downward, from light toward longing, from the mountain's deep forges to what comes next, beings woven not from metal or skill, but from fire and restless flame. If you're liking this, make sure to like and subscribe. Now, let's keep going. Now, let's venture into something truly fascinating: beings caught between worlds. Think of them as neither purely good nor entirely evil. They're the jinn, creatures of fire and free will, living in the shadows just out of sight. Long before Islam, the idea of the jinn haunted the deserts and stories of Arabia. But it was within Islamic teachings that their nature truly took shape. Created from smokeless fire, a substance invisible yet intense, they mirror us in surprising ways. They have families, they build communities, they make choices to help or to harm, to believe or to deny. Take Iblis, for instance. Often mistaken for a fallen angel, he was actually a jinn. That's why he could refuse the command to bow to Adam. It wasn't rebellion born of divine flaw. It was a choice, a conscious turn toward pride. And that's the heart of it. Like us, jinn walk a path filled with decisions. Their corruption isn't written in their origin. It's earned through envy, arrogance, or desire. You won't see them, but you might feel their presence. Ever had a sudden thought you couldn't explain? A dream that felt too real? Or a stroke of inspiration from nowhere? In tales, they're the whisper behind a poet's verse, the prankster in an empty ruin, the quiet guardian of forgotten places. Some live untouched by humans, others intertwine with our world in ways subtle and deep. And as we continue down this list, we leave behind invisible societies of smokeless fire and step fully into the mortal world, a world of flesh, spirit, and moral struggle. Think of this as a crossroads, not the start of the journey, and not the end, but the crucial middle, the moment of choice. That's where we find humanity. We're not ranked in the middle by accident. It's because we stand at a fork in the road every single day. We don't have the pure, unchanging nature of angels. We're not forged from shadow like the demons we'll meet later. We're something else entirely. We're the wild card. Look at what we can do. With these same hands, we can perform surgery to save a life, or design weapons to end thousands. With the same heart, we can forgive a mortal enemy, or cling to a bitter grudge for a lifetime. We build breathtaking monuments to faith and community, and then turn around and tear them down in the name of greed or power. Our capacity for love is downright supernatural. Our talent for destruction? Terrifyingly efficient. That's the human condition. We're the main character in every great moral story for a reason. In ancient myths, we're the ones caught between the gods and the abyss, making our own fate. In sacred texts, we're forever being tested, wrestling with temptation and deciding who we want to be. Our glory and our tragedy is that we get to choose. We are the balancing point. Above us, beings of higher purpose. Below us, the scales start to tip. What comes next doesn't wrestle with choice the way we do. Its nature is more certain, more raw, more wild. So, take a deep breath, because this is the last race with even a hint of purity. From here on out, every race is built on corruption. Now we are on the mythical races that could be considered truly corrupt. The goblin. Across Europe, from the tales of Germanic woods to French hearths and British mines, these creatures linger in the shadows of legend. Picture them, small, crooked forms with pinched faces and tempers like rusted blades. Unlike other beings torn between light and dark, goblins show little conflict. Their hearts tilt firmly toward mischief, greed, and spite. You won't find honor here, nor tragedy, only cunning and a hunger for advantage. They chase chaos, seizing whatever they can while no one is looking. In medieval stories, they slipped into our world through cracks, deep mines, forgotten forests, damp caves, even the hidden corners of a home. Some stole coins and food. Others brought nightmares, sickness, or quiet discord to a household. Seldom were they called wise, never noble. They were the persistent trickster, the petty thief, the unwelcome guest. Their corruption does not shake the heavens or summon demons. It is a slow, stubborn drip of selfishness. Goblins do not seek to end the world. They only wish to meddle with yours. Through folklore, they serve a specific role: to frustrate, to spoil, to muddy clarity. They drag a tale away from reason and civility toward those raw, unflattering truths: how greed nibbles at order, how cruelty thrives in small places. And here the descent grows steeper. Beneath these snickering, tunnel-dwelling creatures lie beings far more brutal. Where goblins scheme, others slaughter. So we leave their whispers behind now and enter a domain ruled by sheer force and ravenous hunger. Forget curses, riddles, or magic. The next creature doesn't want your soul, it wants your body. Think of ogres as nature's perfect predator, built not to outsmart you, but to consume you. These aren't just big, angry brutes from old European tales. They're hunger given a shape, a walking, towering appetite that sees humans not as enemies, but as food. While trolls might guard a bridge or giants lose their temper, an ogre has one purpose: to hunt, to feast. In stories from French folklore to medieval nightmares, they lurk in dark forests, crumbling castles, and mountain passes, waiting. They don't plot or play tricks. They don't want your gold or your loyalty. They want your flesh, especially, as the tales warn, the flesh of children. That's what makes them so chillingly simple. An ogre doesn't corrupt your morals or your mind. It devours your body. In legends like Hop on My Thumb or early Italian and Catalan fables, they appear as the ultimate childhood terror, the monster that simply eats. This is where our ranking takes a sharp, brutal turn. Ogres mark the line between selfishness and predation. They don't negotiate, they don't deceive, they stalk. And once you've faced a horror that wants nothing but to consume you physically, what comes next? No halos, no higher purpose, no moral conflict, just claws, venom, and winged violence. Wyverns come from European medieval folklore and heraldry, instantly recognized by their 2 legs, powerful wings, and barbed venomous tails. They're often confused with dragons, but in older European tradition, they weren't magical scholars or ancient guardians. They were more like flying predators, feared for what they could destroy, not what they could teach. Wyverns didn't emerge from a single religious or cultural belief system the way angels or jinn did. Instead, they grew out of heraldic symbols, bestiaries, and chivalric storytelling, where knights faced beasts that embodied war, disease, and chaos. In coats of arms, the wyvern symbol didn't represent wisdom or wealth. It reflected pestilence, aggression, and battlefield violence. Their portrayal was rarely intelligent or noble. They were closer to territorial apex predators, with venom as their defining trait. But wyverns are still creatures of instinct, not ideology. They don't manipulate, deceive, or corrupt. They attack, consume, and move on. And that's exactly what separates creatures of raw brutality from beings that embody intentional corruption. Because below this point on the list, strength stops being physical and starts becoming psychological, spiritual, and morally twisted. Now we leave the world of beasts and step into the realm of true predators of the mind and soul. Rakshasas are a class of supernatural beings found in Hindu tradition and South Asian literature, known for their strength, magical abilities, and frequent hostility toward humans and gods. They are often depicted as shapeshifters, capable of altering their appearance, a power linked to Maya or illusion. In many stories, Rakshasas attack sages' hermitages, disrupt sacrifices, and engage in warfare, which gives them a reputation for violence and disturbance rather than moral purity. Unlike ogres or simple monsters, Rakshasas possess intelligence, language, and culture, making their threat intentional rather than instinctual. Rakshasas appear prominently in the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and various Puranic texts. They are described as beings who can live in forests, cities, or even kingdoms, with some ruling entire realms. The most famous Rakshasa is Ravana, the king of Lanka, who is portrayed as immensely strong, skilled in warfare, knowledgeable in the Vedas, and a great devotee of Lord Shiva. Importantly, Rakshasas are not uniformly malevolent. There are notable exceptions, such as Vibhishana, Ravana's brother, who aligns himself with Dharma, righteousness. This shows that Rakshasas are a varna of beings, not a single moral category. In a ranking of corruption, Rakshasas are placed near the bottom not because they are all evil, but because they represent active opposition to Dharma in many traditional stories, through deception, disruption of sacred rites, consumption of flesh, and warfare against divine or righteous figures. Their capacity for strategy, illusion, political power, and spiritual knowledge makes them far more dangerous than purely physical predators. And beneath even this level of intentional hostility lies one final category: beings associated not with forests or kingdoms, but with the spiritual adversary itself. Now we've reached the bottom of the descent, the point where purity collapses entirely. If angels defined perfection and Rakshasas chose corruption with intellect and power, then this final race doesn't just embrace evil, it embodies it. This is the realm of the most morally and spiritually corrupted beings in the entire list. Across Abrahamic traditions, demons are understood as spiritual beings that stand in opposition to divine will. In Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they appear as tempters, deceivers, and corrupters whose purpose is to mislead, distort, or destroy what is good. As belief evolved in medieval Europe, theologians and occult scholars developed elaborate hierarchies describing how these beings were organized, often mirroring celestial ranks. This made demons symbols of total moral collapse, not just physical threat, but spiritual inversion. During the late 16th century, a system created by the theologian Peter Binsfeld, 1589, became one of the most influential models in Western demonology. He associated 7 major demons with the 7 deadly sins: Lucifer with pride, Mammon with greed, Asmodeus with lust, Satan with wrath, Beelzebub with gluttony, Leviathan with envy, and Belphegor with sloth. Some of these names have roots in older scriptures and Jewish texts, such as Asmodeus in the Book of Tobit and Leviathan in the Hebrew Bible, while others evolved through later Christian interpretation. Binsfeld also listed Lucifer and Satan as separate beings, even though many Christian traditions merge them into the same figure. This 7 princes framework is not biblical canon, and not all religions share this view. It belongs specifically to Western Christian demonology, not to Islam, Judaism, or Hinduism, which have entirely different concepts, such as Iblis in Islam or Rakshasas in Hindu tradition. But within that medieval European worldview, demons became the ultimate representation of corruption, beings that don't merely fall or sin, but teach sin, amplify vice, and thrive on humanity's darkest impulses.